In this video, I'll show you how to change throttle reels on MotionPro's REV3 throttle kits. The first step is to use an Allen wrench and remove the two screws that hold the throttle housing together. Slide the dust boot back, and now you can remove the two halves of the throttle housing. Separate the two throttle cables by sliding them apart, as shown here, and that'll give you enough slack to remove them from the throttle reel. If you're having any trouble getting the cables out of their slots, that Allen wrench is a good tool for pushing them out. Now the throttle tube can just slide off the handlebar and we can change the reel. The reel is that black circle that's on the end of the throttle tube. The reel is just pressed onto the end of the throttle tube, so just jiggle it and the two should eventually pull apart. The MotionPro throttle kits come with these interchangeable reels that change how quickly the throttle opens. The smallest one, number 35, gives you the longest amount of travel for the least aggressive throttle, and the biggest one, number 50, gives you the shortest amount of travel for the most aggressive throttle opening. You also have this orange reel on road race kits, which is a progressive opening rate. If you have an off-road kit, you'll have a gray one instead. This is for my track bike, so let's try out this orange road race throttle reel. Make sure you have the reel on the correct way. If you have it wrong, it won't actually press on. It's too loose of a fit and it just falls right off. The correct way should have the markings on the throttle reel facing outwards, away from the throttle tube. You'll also notice the slots for the cables, they also face outwards, away from the throttle tube. That's how you'll know you have it positioned correctly. Press the throttle reel onto the tube and just make sure it's bottomed out all the way onto the throttle tube. Slide the throttle tube back onto your handlebar and you can reinstall the cables. Just be sure that you get the push and pull cables on the correct side of the throttle reel. Slide the two throttle cables back together. Then reinstall the two halves of the throttle housing. Slide the dust boot back over the throttle housing. This will hold things together while you reinstall those screws. Install the two throttle housing screws. Tighten them down evenly, but don't tighten them down all the way just yet. The reason I say to leave it a little bit loose is so you can position the throttle. The throttle is adjustable, rotating it or sliding it forward or backwards on the handlebar. Once you have it in the correct position just where you want it, now you can go ahead and tighten down the screws all the way. Make sure you check that everything's working properly. Open and close the throttle a few times, especially making sure that the throttle is self-closing. It should close quickly and on its own when you release it. If there's any issues, you either installed something wrong or you might have an issue with your throttle cables. Also check your throttle free play, as this may need an adjustment after changing throttle reels. Look up the specs for your bike, but typically it's going to be about 2 to 3 millimeters. If you need to adjust it, major adjustments can be made down by your throttle bodies or carburetors, but assuming it was correct beforehand, you should just need a minor adjustment. The minor adjusters are located on the MotionPro throttle cables with these inline cable adjusters. If you found this video helpful, do me a favor and hit the like button, and of course if you have any questions, just leave a comment down below. Thanks for watching.